Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to today's conversation. Yeah, there are only two of us today. For some reason, we haven't got Enolia, and after all the technical issues last week, it might be technology because I know she got the invitation to join us live. So at the moment, you have got just myself and Enolia's invited guest, Infinity. Now, let me get this right. Anahata Love.
Correct.
Infinity, thank you
Yes.
so much. I'm going to say us because we're still hoping Enolia will join us. So thank you for agreeing to join
Absolutely.
us.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. The topic of this program is letting go of the past, which, yeah, I think Enolia, Infinity and myself feel very strongly about in our own unique ways. So I really do hope that Enolia gets to join us for this. But Infinity, I think the sensible thing for us to do is to start with share a little about yourself and why this particular topic, because we, as I've said before, we ask our guests to choose the topic. Why this particular topic
Yes.
sort of speaks so loudly to you.
Okay. Yes, I would love to tell you a little bit about myself and why I chose this topic. I I'm in my mid 40s. I live in the southern region of Utah, and I'm originally from Southern California. And I had a very unique upbringing with two parents that were never married, being a half sister and the eighth child in my family. So there was a lot of different dynamics going on. And so at this time, I'm happy to be what they call the oracle in my family. I do a lot of crystal gritting, I do a lot of chakra healing work. And the reason I picked this topic is because I feel like this is a topic that hangs most people up. I think that everyone goes through a phase in their life where they must let the past go in order to be present and to create the future that they truly desire. So that was a big reason why I chose this topic, because until we let the past go, there's really no growth to be had.
And absolutely. I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
sort of people say it isn't about sort of trying to sort of push it away so much as
I don't know
about,
if we're getting some lag.
we are absolutely. We're getting a few issues here, so we'll do our best with this. So sorry if I interrupted. I apologise because there was, yeah. Okay.
You're fine.
Because I think it is about, for me, it is about becoming aware of the past, being able to acknowledge the past, hopefully heal the past so that we can let it go and that it is no longer interfering with our life today.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. There was many periods in my life where I was stuck. I would say that was the best word I can use is stuck, because I was so preoccupied with what people had quote unquote done to me. Well, look what they did to me when I was, a child, and well, what this relationship, this person has done to me. Well, look at this friend, and they've betrayed me. Look what they've done, and I just can't go on because of all these things that were done to me. And the reality, that's just called so what. Everybody goes through something where someone is going to be the villain or someone's going to be the perpetrator of something in your life. And, it comes down to, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let that hinder you and in moving forward? Or, as you said before, are you going to take the necessary steps to heal? and move forward, because it's up to us. It doesn't matter what anyone's done or didn't do. It's up to us.
And our story can be very powerful in our future, but it's a matter of how do we wish it to have that power? The power to stop us from living, or the power that really supports us to say, this is my life and I am going to live it. And I spent nearly 40 years as a people pleaser. And so the trauma of my childhood, absolutely, the power it had over me was to keep me stuck. But when I got the chance, that wake up call that supported the start of my healing journey, my story is now the power that supports me to bring the energies that I bring. So it has power over you. It's just, what power do you choose to have it over you?
Mm, that's such a beautiful point. You know, in my growing up stages, it was a very hectic upbringing. And, coming from a broken home, as some might call it, there was a lot of confusion, and uh, there was a lot of abuse. There was a lot going on, neglect. There was a lot happening. And, by the time I was probably about 12 years old, I'd run away, and I was on a milk carton and all this fun stuff. And, I was just so broken for so long. And alcohol came into the mix, because in my mind, in my young adolescent mind, that's how I was going to numb myself from the pain and all the things I didn't like and I didn't want to experience. And so with that said, it created a ripple effect of addiction to alcohol in my life. That was a very rocky road. It was horrific, to be honest with you. And there were times where I thought to myself, I wish I had known that in the midst of trying to remedy and alleviate the pain of what I was experiencing, I was creating another problem for myself, that I was then going to lose control of that, and really create more problems on top of problems, when I really was just trying to solve that. And the beauty of that in the end is that I've been able to say, you know what, that doesn't help. Alcohol personally does not help me. And so I'm not going to continue to go down a destructive path that would hinder my progress and my growth because of things that I experienced as a youth, things that were done, quote unquote, to me as a youth. I'm not willing to do that, because that's not truly loving myself. And so I had to let that go and come to the realization that if I choose to live the beautiful life that I think that I deserve, I'm not going to be able to do destructive things. I'm going to have to heal and look at what really is the problem here, instead of trying to mask it and stuff it down and run from it. And so I'm really grateful that I had the courage to say, you know what? That doesn't work. What can we do about it? What can we do in a positive way to heal that and move forward? Because I have so much more to offer myself, my children, the world, than to be my own hindrance because of something that happened in the past. So that's been a great revelation.
And I think one of those, I think what you had put in there is about the loving of self. And that is the key for me to all of it. I certainly wasn't brought up in an era, in a religion that it was about loving yourself. Sort of born in the late 50s, so in an era that it was very much, and as a Catholic, there was no way loving yourself was even talked about. Love, and so many of us, the majority, I would say, and maybe there were some people that were really lucky to be brought up that loving yourself is okay. But for the majority of us, it was not. Loving yourself, that's selfish. but that's a word that's been distorted to me. It's the people, yeah. I've shared about selfish before. Selfish isn't the individual that says, no, that doesn't work for me. Selfish for me is the individual that says, that's really selfish of you, because they want you to do what doesn't resonate for you because they want you to do it. Think about where that word selfish, where it's aimed, but who's saying it? Because we say this all the time, sort of listen to yourself, listen to others, be aware of what's really going on. But it is about the loving yourself and realizing that you are the one in control of your life. It may not feel like it at times. It may feel like what they call Hobson's choice, that you think, is this or that? But you be true to you. And it's not easy to go from a people pleaser where you're constantly saying yes and thinking about everybody else, and you certainly don't even come bottom of the list. You're way beyond bottom of the list. But it's about, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
No to others and yes to yourself. And that's what many of us who've gone through these things that have happened to us. But when we learn, when we remember who we are, the amazing being, because the way I look at it is, our soul chose this experience, and our soul comes from, was born of love, pure, unconditional love. Our soul is connected to source, whatever you perceive source to be. So therefore, right there inside of us, our heart, for me, is connected with our soul. And our heart is about love. So we are meant to be, because we are beings of love. And that love has to start with us, with the care. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. I don't know how many times I have to say this to people. Take the me time. Because if you don't take the me time, you'll be the person that passes before the person you're caring for. It's so important for each and every one of us to take that space, whether it's a walk in local woodland or down to the beach, or whether it's to go and have a massage, whatever it is, go and read a book. Take the me time and learn to be at peace with yourself. And there's a lovely little quote, and it's got a little Tibetan child, and it's, when you are friends with yourself, you are never alone.
I love that. I know this quote that you speak of. I think I've seen it several times. This is so true. And I love what you had to say about selfishness, because, I have discussions with some friends and I say there's a healthy amount of selfishness is healthy. It's healthy to be selfish within a balanced type of way, because I used to be a yes woman myself. I mean, I do everything everyone wanted me to do, and all my things would be on the back burner, and I would be so frustrated and so resentful to others because I was doing all these things. And, I desired to help, but I was hurting myself in the process. So it wasn't helping at all. And, we are love. That is absolutely what we are. And that is absolutely where we come from. And, source, infinite creator, great spirit, there's many names that so many people have for for the source of our existence. And I just, having this human experience is it's fun, it's tricky, it's maddening sometimes. But the reality is, like you said, until you give it to yourself, you can't give it to anyone else. You can't give your time. If you don't give yourself the time, the nurturing, the space, the love, the consideration, the respect, if that's not given to you first from you, there's no way you can give it away to someone else. You're going to burn out. You're going to become resentful. You're going to hurt yourself. And you're going to have to, in turn, recover from that. And so it's going to come back to you taking responsibility for you in order to put things back into balance. And I think this is where so many women, especially because, women, we're the ones that, we're raising kids sometimes. And even if we're not, even if we don't have children, we're still sometimes put into those roles where we're the nurturer. And that can get very out of balance if we don't know how to love ourselves and we don't have boundaries. Boundaries is a huge thing. If there are no boundaries, ouch. You're going to hurt yourself. Yes.
No, boundaries for definite. It's the way I put it in respect of the yes and no to others is, if you are constantly doing for others, because it's usually the doing, you are holding two people back, them and yourself. And so there's another, I love these quotes, and it's good to have the reminders of them at times. It really is. It's sort of, Sarah, the quote came into your head and the quote's gone again. Bless it. I do love it when it does things like that happen. The quote, it will come back if it's meant to, but it's really important that we don't stop ourselves. We're actually being detrimental to two people by constantly doing for others. The quote's along the lines of, I am so grateful to those people who said no to me. They made me do it myself. And it is really important. Our growth comes, and I know we're not doings, I know we're beings, but our growth comes from being involved in our lives, in participating fully. I don't know where this came from. I didn't want to use the word do, but yes, it's for us to participate in our life. We can't live anybody else's life for them. They can't live ours for us. We're here to live our own life. And so when people say no to us, it can be a greater gift than a yes. And when we are asked to support somebody, and whether it resonates or not, it's worth saying, can you give me a chance to think about that, please? I'll get back to you in a couple of hours, half a day, tomorrow, whatever it is. Give yourself a chance to really think it through. Because you might be able to say, can't help you and can't support you with the whole thing. However, there may be an aspect that potentially is beneficial to both of you. So I can support you with this. We can do this together. So we can support each other without doing. It's about the being.
I love that, because it's about the reciprocation. That's what brings the balance. And what I see a lot of the time is when someone is asking for assistance or help, if things are out of balance, they want an answer now. I need to know if you can do this for me now. Whoa, like you said, let me take some, a little bit of time to ponder that, to see if that's something that is not going to send me out of balance and helping you. And so I think it turns around and comes back to the boundary again. what are you willing, or how much are you willing to extend yourself in certain areas for other people? Because there are, unfortunately, some people that will take that niceness and try to take it for a weakness, and get you to overextend yourself because they're not willing to do their part. And so that becomes very tricky. And you have to be able to have that discernment to say, wait a minute, like you said, is this benefiting both of us? Because if it isn't, it's a disservice to everyone involved. And growing up as the youngest, I was constantly doing things for all my older siblings. Even when, I had homework assignments and I had things that I was responsible to get done, it was so important for me to show up for them that I wouldn't show up for myself. And then as I got older, I said, wait a minute. When they ask me to do things, I'm doing all these things for them. But in turn, when I ask for assistance or help, they have no time for me whatsoever. This is not making a lot of sense. So I had to finally say no. I had to finally say no. And it was really difficult because being the younger sibling, I wanted to please them. I wanted them to be happy with me. I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to acknowledge me. And I wanted to be on their good side. And I realized at a point that the person's good side that I deserve to be on is my own. Because when I'm resentful of myself, because I'm overextending myself to help someone else who would not do the same for me, that's a problem. That's an internal issue that I had to work out within myself, because that was going to keep me stuck if I continued with that behavior. And then I would not be able to move forward in my life and do the things that I deserve to do for myself. And so I always tell people that no is a full sentence. If you say you say no to me, it's really not my concern as to why. I don't need to know that. No means no. And it doesn't have to be something that you internalize and take personally. No is just no. And that's okay. We don't have to make it something more than what it is, because it's just a person with a boundary that just no. It's just no.
Yeah. And we don't.
It's fine.
And we really don't have to explain ourselves.
No.
We can if we choose. But if we choose to just say no, well, why? Well, it doesn't matter what the why is. The answer's no. And I'm not going to make an excuse. We don't have to make up a story, because how many of us, when it's just like, no, we've had the courage to say no, but then we think, oh, we better make up a really good reason as to why I can't. It's just about, you can't because it's your boundary.
Right. Yes, that's
Angel,
all it needs to be.
Angel, Angel just says, thank you, beautiful ladies, for this podcast. I'm not sure I'd call it a podcast, but do you know what? If that's what you want to call a podcast, that's fine by me. I don't do
Thank you.
But isn't that just it? It's, what are you hearing? With luck, we've got Enolia. Hiya.
Yes. Hello. I'm so sorry. No internet. None.
Oh my God.
I just had 3 people work on this for me, and I'm being hotspotted. So yes.
Excellent.
Oh, yay.
Excellent. Well, as you guessed, we've started.
So wonderful to have you on, Infinity. So beautiful to see you, Sara Jane. And I'm sorry for interrupting. So let's continue on.
Well, Enolia, I suppose if you've got a question you would like to ask Infinity, please do. And we've got a couple of, beautiful to see you, dear. I can't.
Yes, Nia Queen.
All right.
Nikwi is saying how beautiful it is. And it's beautiful to see you and hear from you too, Nikwi. Wonderful. And beautiful, beautiful Infinity, who brings so much experience and love to the table and light and just eloquence in all that she does. And I'm just so excited to have you on here. And we're talking about letting go of the past. And I guess my question to you would be that in all your experience, knowing that we have troubled ways of letting go of the past, what is it about the human being that always has to repeat scenarios in order to try to let go? What is it that makes us repeat and have to go back through it again and again? Because we don't seem to let go one time. We want to hold on to that past. We want to hold on to that circumstance. We want to hold on to that hardship. And there's something within us and that just doesn't want to let go. What is it that you would perceive, and how would you assist someone like that?
Oh, this is a lovely question. Thank you, Enolia. I what comes to the forefront of my mind is the ego. The ego wants to try to figure out, how can I still do that and not get, and not have to be stalled. How can I still do that thing that I really want to be doing and move forward in the process, even though every other time I've tried it that way, it never worked before. It wants to just say, well, let me see if I can get around that, over that, under that. And the reality is, there is no way to do those things that hinder us and get around, over, or under it unless we choose to take a new path. And so that's what I would say to someone. You've got to create a new pathway, and you have to learn the lesson, because when that repeating is happening, it's trying to tell you this is not going to work. Okay, well, let's try it this way. Oh, still not going to work. So it's important to decide that we're going to create a new pathway for ourselves, something that actually works in moving our lives forward and honors us. Because doing it that same way and hitting that wall, it's not working. And usually it's causing harm. So what are we going to do to help ourselves and create a path that's worthy of our time, of our attention, and of the energy that we have to give?
Yeah.
So that is how I would say.
Yeah. Thank you. I was sitting here thinking, and then we'll go to you, Sara Jane, afterwards. But I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm saying, I think another added component to that is the fact that we do not like to forgive ourselves. And that lack of forgiveness, that lack of ability to we're quick to say, oh, I forgive it. It's all good. It's all good. But really, when the issue took place, it didn't happen overnight, right? When the issue took place, it usually happens in the buildup of time, because we're trying to let go, we're trying to let go, and that buildup of, I can't let go, it just triggered me so deeply that I don't want to. That in my heart, I would say that there's a forgiveness component, that whether I need to forgive myself, forgive the people all around me, forgive the circumstance, and that it wasn't within my control. I mean, do you think that there is an aspect of that? And I think I'll go to Sara Jane, and we'll come right back to you, Infinity.
Absolutely forgiveness. But I think it's also about encouraging ourselves to, like we were saying just now, with the, sort of when somebody asks us to do something and we sort of turn around and say, give me a chance to think about it. But it's when something triggers us, or when there is something, and it's thinking, stop, don't react in the same way you've always reacted. Because by doing that, you are going to bring about the same outcome. It is about encouraging yourself, finding that way when you're triggered, to be able to take a step back and look at it from the outside in. And if you like, what suggestions, because I don't give advice, I make suggestions. What suggestions would you give to yourself, to somebody else that found themselves in that position? And take your own suggestions. When I make suggestions to people from my own experience, from what I have experienced, unless of course I suddenly get a download, in which case I know it's for me as well as the other people, because it happens. But it is about that. So it is about being thoughtful, caring, and considerate of yourself, loving yourself enough to say, I've been here before. Reacting without thought, that learned behavior is something it is time for me to let go. It's not necessarily the past, it's the behavior, that learned behavior, that reaction. Forgive myself for the way I've reacted in the past numerous times. And how can I do something different, be something different in this process, rather than reacting in the same old way? So again, it's about giving yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of time, and allowing it to be concentrated thinking that will really support you, rather than that quick angry thought that is actually just the ego getting involved in the situation. So that's the thought that came to me.
And what about you, Infinity?
I love this because it takes me back to a situation where I was driving, and this has been several months ago, and I was getting agitated. Something was not going my way. And I started to go in circles. I started to just keep going in this roundabout, and I was just going in circles. And I thought, okay, I'm upset, and I'm getting more upset. Okay, and in that moment, I thought, what do you like? And I was going by this dealership, and I said, I like to test drive cars. So I'm like, pull over, go test drive the car. Take yourself completely out of the space that you're in and do something that you like right now. So I hurry up and I pulled into the car lot, and I got, I believe it was a Dodge Charger, and I took it out and I went up the hill and I just laughed. I just uncontrollably laughed. But in that moment, I stopped myself from doing an old habit, being upset and running back to something that did not serve me. I had to think fast. And so I think sometimes we've got to think fast. What do I enjoy? What can I do right now to pull myself out of this space and not do what I used to always do? Because I already know that's going to go bad. That's not going to work. I'm not going to feel good about it. But I can create a new habit right now in this moment from where I am. I just started to look around. What can I do? And that was the thought. And so after I took that drive, and I completely took me out of that space, and I was better. And by the time I got back, there was no issue. And I was victorious because I didn't go backward. And that was a win. That was a big win for me. So I think it's important to ask yourself, what can I do right now? What do I enjoy right now that I can do right now to take myself out of that space so that I don't go backward? Because the whole goal is to move yourself forward and to do what serves you, not what is a disservice to you. So that would be how I handled it that day. And my goal is to continue to handle it that way, whether it's to run outside and go to the park, put my feet in the dirt. What can I do?
So I want to make sure, because it just froze up on me just a little bit, but I'm here. So I want to talk about the past in another respect. Okay? Every day that we breathe, every breath that we take, every movement that we make, and the action is gone, like you just drank a glass of water, it's now in the past. It's gone. It's gone forever. And we know as human beings that we are supposed to live in the moment, that the best is to live in the moment. At least I subscribe to that. Okay. I look at my past and I understand that I'm supposed to.
Oh,
Oh,
we've lost Enolia. I'm sure she will be back.
yes,
Did,
absolutely.
were you getting the sense of what she was asking?
Slightly. When she says that, drinking that glass of water, now it's in the past. You've had that sip and now it's in the past. And so living in the moment, really, that's really all we have is right now. And I know for a fact that the point of creation is always happening in the now. So to get preoccupied with what happened 5 minutes ago, or to get preoccupied what is going to happen 5 minutes from now, again, is it's really a disservice to us because we can't create from 5 minutes in the past, 5 minutes ago, or 5 minutes ahead. So our power is in the now. And so how we choose to use this now moment determines everything about how life is going to unfold for us. And so the attitude that we have right now, there's a quote, and I can't remember exactly, but it talks about our life being a sum total of our thoughts of the past right now. So what are we thinking now to set up the future that we feel that we deserve to have? And so old thought process and old thinking, I'll call it garbage thinking, is not going to create for us the life that we deserve.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not going to. Enolia, you're back. Excellent.
Okay. We may or may not subscribe to the past to shape our future. My school of thought on this is that I love to look at my past and I love to glean the lessons from my past, but I don't look at my past to shape my future. I really look at my past to learn the lesson in the moment. I really feel that our moment, our present moment, and what we've learned in terms of lessons from the past, but working with who I am here and now is what is supposed to shape my future and not necessarily my past shape my future. Because if my past shapes my future, then what ends up happening is that I'm potentially destined to repeat some of those mistakes again because I did it like this in the past, so got to be easy to do it this way in the future. And when I did it before, it was so easy, I just take it off and repeat that again. But the whole thing is that when we walk that walk and we made that mistake or we learned that lesson, or even when we did it in the past and it was really hard, there's something we're supposed to glean from that and then just have it, and then working with who I am here now, how would I approach it anew? So what's your kind of take on how to use your past in terms of as we navigate through life? And whoever wants to take that first can.
Infinity.
I love that. Yeah, I love that you are talking about the past as a way to learn from the mistakes that you made. It's not about a judgment of what happened, but it's what can I take from that,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of pat myself on the back and be proud of myself. Wow, yeah, that's what I did. Maybe that didn't work out so well, but what did I learn? I learned something that's going to cause me to do it differently next time. Um, Being a person that has made so many monumental mistakes I would say, in my past. Um, I'm really grateful that I've lived to tell the tale, because not only does it help me to help others navigate through those types of situations, it gave me the opportunity to move forward and also detach myself from that act or that way of thinking or that way of being, knowing that I don't have to be stuck there. I don't have to be stuck in that thought process and that way of thinking and doing things. And I can take the value, I can extract from that the value of that lesson. And now it not only helps me, but it helps me help others navigate. If they choose to move forward in their lives, if they choose a new route, a new pathway, if they would like a new life, I am now a person that can say, I know what that looks like, and I can assist. Of course, I'm not doing anything for them, but I can assist because I've been through that situation and I've navigated my way out of it. So I'm living proof that you can change. You don't have to be that way. You don't have to subscribe and be stuck in that way of thinking or being. Take the value out of it and let's create more value from here on out, because all we have is now, and all we can do is create from here and now.
I love that. Sara Jane.
I think about things that have happened in the past, and I think for me it is very much realize that any actions you have taken, any decisions you have made,
Would you like to take over, Sarah?
you've made from with the knowledge you have at that point in time. You can only ever make a decision with the information and the knowledge you have at the time. And you can make your best decision at that point in time. Once you've made that decision, you've taken the action, you will hopefully learn more. It's about, is it really about forgiving yourself for not knowing what you didn't know at the time? And if you hadn't taken that action, if you hadn't done what you'd done, you would never have learned what you didn't know. So everything is a gift. And if we can view things as a gift and learn from them, not even forgiveness needs to come into it, because we have done the best we could at the time with the information and the knowledge we had. And if anybody judges us on that, they had a different knowledge, different awareness of things that we didn't. But we've had the courage of our own convictions to say, okay, fine, I need to take a step forward. It might have been a skew-if step, but if it was, it was. But if we learned from it, that's the important thing. So is there ever a mistake? I'm one of these people who think, no, there's no such thing as a mistake. Because if we don't make that move, we can't learn. We can't know what else is out there. It's a gift. And I know it's not easy to always look at it that way, but it's another way to view it. And Gypsy says a lesson A learned, I think I learned, was I cannot change my past. I can only change how I react to it today. Thank you for all this discussion. It's very enjoyable. And we've lost Enolia in the process. Oh, so any comment, Infinity?
Yes. I love that. Thank you for your comment, Gypsy and Yakui and Angel. I agree with you. We have to call it something. And so making mistakes, right? As we were discussing earlier, it's all prerequisites. It's all prerequisites to prepare you for the next coming attraction, if you will, because we don't know what we don't know. And when we do, the idea is to do better based off the information that we have. It doesn't mean that we always get it right the first time. And again, that's okay, because we're here having this human experience, and that means that we're going to have to go through some things and make some mistakes, and there's no way that we can know everything, right? Even if we are very knowledgeable, there's certainly things that we do not know. And I think it's important, honestly, to make mistakes, because I think it's a part of the learning process, obviously. And I think failing at anything is a part of success, is a key component. You cannot have success without failure. And so mistakes would fall into that category of what some would consider a failure, which is ultimately a success in the end. So that's how I look at that.
Yeah. Enolia.
So we all go through a certain amount of trauma in our past. There's not one of us who can say that we haven't. And when I look at that, I think one of the key things that we should discuss is how to find a gift in the trauma that you have in the past, because some people are going through it right now. They are going through it. Life is hard. They've gotten, a story that they're stuck in, that they need to just escape out of. And I think it warrants a good discussion in terms of how to find the gifts when you're going through the trauma. And for me, I like to pause. I like to take pause, and I like to just imagine myself walking on a path. And I like to say, okay, it's storming around me. Why do I need to react to the storm? I don't. What is taking place around me? And just look at the situation from an observing point of view versus a reactionary point of view. And then basically go, okay, if this happening, one, can I control it? If I can't, let that go. Two, do I need to participate in it? I can choose to participate in it and react in it, or I can choose to just observe it and not even react in it, even though people may warrant a reaction from me. If it doesn't serve me to react, why should I? And then three, what is it I'm supposed to learn while this is taking place? And then four, can I navigate through the story? Can I navigate past the story? What does it take for me to close this issue, resolve this issue, move past this issue? Understand that, okay, I learned a lesson. I got it. I don't need any more beating over my head for it. I'm ready to go. So how do you navigate through the story? How do you walk the path through the storm?
Sometimes in silence.
And that's a thought one.
Because
I
used to be so reactionary. I used to think I had to have a response and defense to everything someone was saying, and it was all about me, and I had to defend myself, and I had to let them know I wasn't going to take it, and I had to do all these things. So I thought at the time, but what I realized is that released a lot of premature adrenaline. That got me very upset and physically very in an uncomfortable space. And so as I learned to step outside, and this is something I've learned from you, Enolia, so thank you. Step outside and take a look at what's really happening. Because if I'm emotionally vested and I'm emotionally involved in the situation, I can't see it for what it is. I can't see it. I'm seeing my stance on it because of this emotion that I have. Now I've just made this whole thing mine, and it's not mine. Usually it has nothing to do with me. Usually what someone else is doing and saying 9 times out of 10 has nothing to do with me whatsoever. So am I going to make that a part of something that now belongs to me? It's not very wise to do that. And every time I've ever done that, it's caused me more problems than necessary. So it's important for me to be quiet. A lot of times now I will just be quiet so I can see what's really happening. I will withdraw my emotions from the situation so I can go, what is actually happening here? Because as soon as I get vested, I can't see. It's almost like my blinders are on and I can no longer see what's happening. And so to navigate through that in silence and non-emotion. So taking the silent witness to it the next level, because anything else, everything is going to be blurry. And so we need to see to navigate. And so that's one way that I go about it.
Enolia.
Beautiful. Sara Jane. I hear you.
It's that learned behavior thing. It's really is. It's the trying to step away from those learned behaviors. And yes, absolutely. Being able to take yourself out of it so that you're looking, as I said before, from the outside in, and detaching yourself. And I love the thing. Yeah, absolutely. There will be times it's just like, there's absolutely no point in saying anything. All it's going to do is inflame the situation. And so, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Enolia, back to you.
So I'm sitting here listening to this, and I kind of want to make a statement, and I want thoughts and opinions around that statement. But when I look at our emotions, and there are many of us who, as women will say, we're very emotional beings. I really find my emotions to be a distraction from the point. And a lot of us like to lead with our emotions. And part of that coming to peace and coming to silence is to let go of that emotional state and to basically just be at peace. And then again, coming back to that, being the observer. And I find that when I do engage with the emotions, I end up going on a roller coaster in the story, okay? Because my emotions are high, they're low, they're sideways, I'm angry, I'm not angry, I'm indifferent, blah, 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 blah. And then I find that I expended so much energy with all of that, and all I had to do is sit back and just watch it unveil. And if I had just sat back and watched it unveil, I could have saved myself a lot of an emotional roller coaster and engagement that just at a certain point doesn't serve me. And I don't want to say that emotions aren't important. Yes, they are very important. But I think that we need to be aware that when we are in our emotional state, that it can be a major distraction from the point. So what are your thoughts on that? I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, I'm going to say
it's a distraction. Oh, go ahead, Sara Jane.
Carry on, Infinity, because obviously we've got huge delays here. So, so carry on, Infinity.
I feel, thank you, Sarah. It is a very big distraction. I used to live my life from an emotional standpoint. That's how I lived. Everything was emotionally high. And I noticed that I lost a lot of time that I could have been in solution finding mode, time that I could have actually resolved things was expended on these emotional highs where the drama got so out of control that it took longer to come to a solution. It took longer to come to a balance because the emotions were just out of control. So when you're in that state, you're then attracting other individuals who live that way, who respond that way, and it just makes for a big, big mess. I think that emotions can be a huge distraction because if you can quiet yourself down and look at the situation for what it is, solutions can be found. Then you can move on to the next phase of whatever that might be. But when you're in an emotional state and things are, to zero, from 0 to 100, and then you've got people around you in that same space, you're not going to be able to solve things from a logical point of view. I'll pass it over to you, Sarah.
Thank you. I suppose my thought was, I'd actually prefer to use the word feeling. I know what you're saying by emotions, but how is this making me feel? Why am I feeling this way? If you go back to that word trigger, what is triggering me? So it is about taking that step back. It is about becoming aware of yourself, and not the self of past, the self of now, but the self of past. What happened in my past that caused me to be the way I'm being, to react the way I'm reacting? Because there is a trigger. If it's triggered you, something has happened in your past. And I've had that happen. I've had it when I've suddenly thought, oh wow, that happened when I was a child. Then that happened when it came to the start of causing my healing journey, and setting me on that right path, that path of my healing journey. And those things happen. And why did I feel the way I felt? Because that was triggered from what happened to me as a child. And sometimes we don't understand that at that point in time, but we can look back and we can understand the gift that our past gave us. And then we can step outside of being affected by the feelings other people cause in us. Because actually, we've learned to love ourselves enough that we don't necessarily anymore have to be triggered by others. And it's back to loving yourself enough to realize that all the love you need is right there inside of you. And your past is a gift. Enolia. We've got an awful lot of background noise coming from somewhere.
Yes, I know that we're I know that we're coming up on an hour, and I really would have loved more time with Infinity. But I want to ask this one last question, which is that what advice would you give to the person who is stuck in the story of the past and are just circling as a coach, as a person who just knows this? Because I know that you know this really well.
My loving suggestion would be to heal. Go through your healing processes so that wherever those wounds are, you can extract those lessons and be able to take that and create something beautiful from that. Because as long as there's something inside of you that is hurting, it's going to be difficult to let the past go. And usually we have things from our childhood, from our adolescence, young adulthood that have happened to us that keep us stuck. And then we get on this merry-go-round. And so I would say get off the merry-go-round and give yourself the gift of healing so that you can move forward and live the life that you just so deserve. Because life is really beautiful. And once that healing process begins, the journey is just so amazing and beautiful. And we all deserve that. We deserve to have that opportunity to live the life of our dreams, and be stuck in a time and space that's no longer. So my advice would be to heal, start that healing process as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Enolia, is there anything you would like to add before we close? Enolia, can you hear me? Right. Although she seems to be moving, she doesn't seem to be hearing us. Enolia, can you hear me? All right, Infinity. As we are drawing to a close, and Enolia for some reason can't hear us. I don't know why. Do you want to share how people can get in touch with you if they would like to?
Absolutely. If they'd like to get a hold of me, they can reach me at Infinity Anahata Love at Gmail. My email. And my Facebook is Infinity Anahata Love. And those would be the two best ways that they could reach me.
Okay, and I've just put your website up, and I will put, if you're watching the video from YouTube, folks, then I'll make sure that all three of our information is underneath, so that you can connect with us if that feels right to you. Because going back to this, how can we support ourselves? It's very much a matter of finding the people to work with, the energies of a technique, a practice, a whatever it is. You know, there are many, many different techniques and practices out there. Feel what's right for you. And as each and every one of us have done, and just because something worked for us, we share. I believe all three of us share from our own experiences, our own healing journey. So please feel free to explore, and to go out there and to be aware of what is out there that can really support you to heal that wounded heart. And there are so many people supporting people in different ways. So that's why we share these programs, to support you, to support yourself along that healing journey, that path to living a full life. So yes, please. Enolia will put that information up as well. I've done that for you. Now, because we are literally, and we are getting, we've obviously, I know we've got Enolia, but we've obviously lost her in some way. So in 3 weeks' time, because this program has actually gone out a week early, because I believe Enolia is going to be traveling next week. So,
yes, I am.
Oh, we've got you good. In 3 weeks'
Yes.
time, on the 24th of August, same time, we are going to be joined by Christy Borst, and our topic is In This Now, Harnessing Your Power While You Wait for Your Purpose. So I hope that you will join us all for that. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed technology is a little bit kinder to us.
Yes.
We've done the program, and I hope, and thank you to Gypsy Angel, and I'm still couldn't get the pronunciation of that. I'm really sorry. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comment, feedback. They're saying thank you as well. It's been a pleasure to be here with you all. We'll see you again. Thank you, Infinity. Thank you, Enolia.
Thank you. Thank you, Infinity. Lovely to have you.
Thank you, Enolia. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Namaste, sweet souls. We'll see you again. Bye.
Aho. Aho.
Bye.